Yo, 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 welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. And before we get to our guest today, we have a big shout out for Living Sisu. Living Sisu is a platform and app that wants to give you all the tools to have success in your sport. Their main objective is to activate your lifestyle. So it's for active people. Enjoy discounts at companies like BioSteel, 30% off, Body Logics, the Goalie Guild, all his books are discounted. Roan, Lululemon for men, 20% off. Online stretching programs with Eccentrics, 1 full month free. They got super silent massage guns, 20% off those. And it's a great quality. It's way less expensive than a Theragun, and it's great quality. So there's so many more discounts that you guys will need to just become a member to see. So they want to provide you with anything you need for success. So come join the community. I'm a part of it. A bunch of other athletes are a part of it. So it's free to join. It takes 20 seconds to get exclusive offers to your sport, and it's definitely worth it. So do us a huge favor and go sign up for Living Sisu's membership. It's free, takes 20 seconds. So go do it, and we'll see you there. Living Sisu is a great company. We know one of the co-founders, Eddie Pasquale. He's a great guy. He's the co-founder. He does a lot of live streams on Instagram at Living Sisu, with a bunch of elite athletes, and you learn a lot from like the athletes' determination, their resiliency, everything to what made them become successful. So it's been a great experience so far. So go on. I'm gonna leave the link in the description. So go sign up.
Yo, welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. I'm Jack, and I'm alongside my co-host, Tyler. And in today's episode, we are joined by a very special guest, current professional goaltender, Eddie Pasquale. Eddie is currently a professional hockey goaltender who has spent time in the NHL, AHL, ECHL, and currently plays in the KHL overseas for Lokomotiv Yaroslavl. He also played junior hockey in the OHL for the Belleville Bulls and the Saginaw Spirit. Welcome to the show, Eddie Pasquale.
Thanks, guys, for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So, how have you been? What's the whole situation with COVID going? I know we just talked about this off air, but for everyone that's listening or watching this episode, like, what's been new with you, and how's the whole COVID situation over in Russia?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cases. We're lucky in Yaroslavl. It's a smaller city, 3 hours from Moscow, but Moscow's got it pretty bad right now, and nothing's really shut down. They're kind of limiting how many fans can come to the game. Some rinks they're allowed. I think the most we've had 50% full, and some rinks are zero fans. So it's bad. I mean, like everywhere in the world, it's bad. It's not fun going through this, but
Yeah, for sure. You just gotta stay safe during these times and just be cautious. And it seems like that's what you guys have been doing with like the fan situation. Like, you guys as players, just trying to keep it as safe as possible and trying to still play like always.
yeah, exactly. They do the KHL and do it. They get through another test. So you get this code on your phone. It's like a barcode that they scan you out into the visiting rinks. But the security is a lot tighter. I mean, no one can really come down to the room, and they keep if you're not part of the team, you can't go anywhere near the dressing room, and the rink's pretty blocked off for the players area. So they're doing the best they can to keep us all safe.
Yeah, that's at least good. So going into hockey a little bit, can you give our viewers a little background information on yourself, when you started playing hockey, and what made you become a goaltender?
Yeah, probably started skating when I was 5 or 6. Obviously, growing up in Canada, you start early, and then I was the youngest out of all my cousins, so they always threw me net and road hockey, and then just kind of got tossed in there. We do once a week. There would be a new goalie in net, and I played pretty good the first time, so they kept me in there, and then the youngest out of my cousins, probably they forced me into it, and then I kind of liked the position. I liked the equipment, the painted helmet. It was just a different position on the ice that I liked.
Yeah, just the customization aspect of goaltending, super fun to be a part of, and just the adrenaline rush you get after making an insane stop a few times a game. Those definitely make you want to keep going and play goalie for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's one of those positions where it's a high pressure position, but you win a hockey game, you can steal hockey games, but you can also lose them. So it's a little bit of a roller coaster playing goalie, but it's a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
growing up, did you consider playing any other positions, or was it just mainly goalie for you?
Off as a player, not the best skater, so I wouldn't have made it as high as I am now. But yeah, in the summer I still play player. I'll play men's league with my buddies back home, and it's a lot of fun. But I mean, it's a tough position to learn all the different breakouts and stuff like that. So at least with goalie, you got one job: you just got to stop the puck.
Yeah, exactly. And like I feel like a lot of like goalies like started out as players, like pretty much everyone, and and then they got thrown into the position, and they'd still skate out like during like men's league or like pickup games in the summer. So it's always cool to hear that. Like I did the same thing. Like I'm a goalie right now, and I skate all throughout high school, and then chose goalie, and I skate out in men's league sometimes. So it's fun to get back to being a forward sometimes and scoring some goals.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's awesome too because you kind of know what the goalie's going to do before you shoot it, and you know where you can score a goal. So it's a lot of fun playing out still.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just super fun. So then going into your journey to go pro, you played youth hockey in AAA, and then you ended up going to the junior route after your season with the Toronto Red Wings U16 AAA, and you come to the decision of playing the OPJHL for the Wellington Dukes. So like, what was junior hockey like for you when you first started in Wellington before you're making your way up to the OHL?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I mean, I wanted to play for St. Mike's. I went to school at St. but I was drafted by Belleville, and they wanted me to Belleville so I could practice with the team. Wellington was about 30, 40 minutes away, so they put me there for I think I was there for maybe 2, 3 months, and then the goalie, the starter in Belleville, got in a fight and broke his hand, and I went up. I played pretty good, and I never got sent back down. Belleville was really good. It was a good place to play. It was close enough hours. I was 16, 17 at the time, so it was nice to be close to home and see family and friends. But yeah, Belleville was a great city. We had a very good team there when I was there, so that helped me. I wasn't getting peppered like some of the teams in the OHL. And then I got traded to Saginaw, and that was another good spot to play. It was a team kind of built around guys, my group, around the 1990 birth year, and we had a very good team there. We had a lot of success, and yeah, I got drafted from there, and then crazy road to pro hockey started.
Yeah, so like what was like the transition or like how was the transition going from AAA to juniors or from let's go OPJHL to OHL? Like what was like the competition wise? Like what was that transition like to go from the OPJHL to the OHL and start playing games there?
Yeah, it's a tough transition because I mean I think I got a late birthday, so I was 15, turning 16 or just turned 16 when I got my first start in the OHL. And you see the type of players that come out of the OHL. You got some NHL stars that are still in that league, and I was just a young guy playing against like basically grown men. They were 19, 20 years old, drafted on their way to the NHL, and you're kind of like in shock that you're playing against these guys. But it's a tough transition. But I mean, every league you keep leveling up, it gets harder and harder. So if you want to do well in the OHL, but yeah, it's definitely challenging because I mean, I think my first or second game I was playing Bobby Ryan and Trevor Lewis and the big stars in Owen Sound and London Knights. I was Penley Shelburne, Sam Gagner, Patrick Kane, and then kind of like starstruck a little bit.
Yeah, like I can only imagine that it'd be like starstruck and just you're playing against these NHL draft picks and then they're going in on you and probably knowing how good they are, probably blowing the puck past you, which isn't really a good feeling. But you're like, dang, these guys are gonna go to the show soon, so it must have been a cool experience to be a part of.
Yeah, but my second road game, I'll always remember this one. We played London night in London. 8,000 fans, and it's like, and I was terrified. Anyone bar down on me, but I was nervous in that game. We ended up winning one. I actually got an assist on the empty net. It's cool. These guys, you can follow in their footsteps and level up to the next league. But like I said, like if you want to get to the next league, you're going to be playing against these guys. If you get to the NHL, there's good talent. So you got to learn to play against the top end guys.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, what was like the biggest thing you had to learn throughout all this process of getting to the next level and getting to the higher levels and just being able to get shot on by these guys and play against these guys?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, obviously you got to trust yourself. I think the biggest thing is probably just confidence. You got to believe you're capable of playing against these guys, and you can't look at them like they're better than you or anything like that. You guys are on the same ice surface, and you just got to play with that confidence and know that obviously they're going to get their points every now and then. They're going to score on you. They're going to make nice plays, but as long as your team in front of you, they limit their chance. You just play the can. That's all you can really do.
Yeah, exactly. I just learned that because I started skating with the pro group recently, and like the biggest thing that my coach just told me was just the confidence. Like you have to be confident that you can play with these guys and be up there, and it's pretty much just mental at that point. Like you can get away with, like you can get away with like the like how you actually play, but like your confidence level, like if it's down, like you're gonna get exposed. But if it's right where it should be, and like you could play against these guys, you're gonna fit in pretty much just fine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a hockey puck and a guy shooting on you. But like for me, I've done it for so many years. I've just it's set. So if you get superstars, they're gonna look like superstars blowing it by you. So yeah, like you said, the biggest thing, confidence, and you just gotta trust yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm guessing that's what you did when you first got in there and you were able to stick up to these guys, right?
Yeah, I was lucky too. In Belleville, we had kind of pushing to go to the finals, and we had I put a year Marius, Matt Pellick, PK Subban. We had a pretty good team too, so those guys helped me out a lot. They were very good in front of me, and yeah, that was just the biggest thing. Where we had a good team, and then we were kind of top in the league, so it kind of helped me out.
Yeah, that's awesome. So then you play a ton of games in the OHL for the Belleville Senators or the Belleville Bulls and the Saginaw Spirit. Like your final 2 years in the OHL, you played in 61 games in your first full season in Saginaw, and then 51 your second year. So, and you really made a name out of yourself before going pro. So, like, what do you think helped you to be so successful and play that many games and get that experience that you need to raise your level of play?
Yeah, I think just the biggest thing when I kind of knew in Belleville I was going to be traded because they're going for it to the Mem Cup that year. They wanted to push for it, and I was a young guy. I wasn't playing that much, so Saginaw stepped up to the plate and they traded a lot for me. So it showed that they really wanted me, and I fit in good with Saginaw. We had a good group of guys. We were a hardworking team, and it was a different conference for me to go to, and we just played well. We all gelled together, and then 2 really good years.
Yeah, for sure. So, like, what helped you recover so much? Because obviously, as a goaltender, like, it takes a toll on your body when you're playing pretty much every game. So, like, what would you do to help yourself recover? Like, would you get a lot of sleep? Focus on like what you eat? Like, what would you do to help maximize your performance potential?
Back then, I mean, you're in like 17, 18, 19, so you kind of recover pretty quick. We didn't do anything special. We actually had a lot of bus trips in Saginaw because we weren't too close to many teams, so we'd eating pizza and drinking pop on the bus. So if I knew what I knew now about recovery and stuff like that, I probably could have put up some better numbers and been a lot better than I was at a younger age. But the OHL is tough because there's a lot of travel, and you're lucky you're young at an age where your body kind of recovers on its own.
What was the hardest adjustment for you after being traded from Belleville to Saginaw?
Uh, it was probably just being so much farther from home. I mean, Belleville's in Canada and Saginaw's in the States, so it's a lot farther to see my family, and it's about a 5-hour drive. But I knew a bunch of the guys on Saginaw before I got traded, so I reached out to them when I found out, and they were happy to have me. They told me how the city was, and the team's really excited to have you join. And I think that's just the biggest thing, that I knew guys there that could kind of help you feel part of the team quicker.
Yeah, for sure. So going back to like recovery and all that, like from like the time that you played juniors, like what did you learn over the course of your pro career that you wish you learned before you got into juniors or during juniors?
Yeah, probably just the nutrition. Make sure you're getting the right foods, drinking enough water, and staying hydrated. A lot of stretching just to keep the body loose, because I mean, sitting on a bus or an airplane, it's not the best thing to do right after a game, but it's part of the schedule. And then the sleep, especially now, like playing pro in Russia, there's a lot of different time zones. So you just try and get as much sleep as you possibly can, and that helps me recover the most.
Yeah, for sure. And then after your final season in Saginaw, you were able to sign a pro deal with the Chicago Wolves of the AHL. So, like, what was it like when you got that first opportunity to play pro, and especially with like the last few games of the season? Like, even though you didn't get to play, like, what was some of the things that you learned from the guys in Chicago?
Yeah, that was a good experience. It was. I remember when we got knocked out in Saginaw, I drove down to Chicago to be back in practice, and I think that helped me because it kind of let me see how pro hockey was like, and then I could prepare all summer to try and make the team the following year. So, yeah, that was definitely beneficial for.
Yeah, exactly. And what was some of those things that you learned from like your first few practices about the actual game of pro hockey and how different it is from junior hockey?
Yeah, it's you're going against bigger guys, a lot bigger in size than the guys you're used to in the OHL. They shoot a little bit harder. Everything's just a little bit quicker. There's not as many mistakes. Everything's more precise. The passing, the shooting, everything like that. So just kind of making sure you can read the game a little bit quicker, because everything's going to happen a little bit faster. And then kind of just the routine, the farther travel, going to different cities, and you're in a lot more hotels in pro hockey than you are in junior. So kind of just like the lifestyle that you get in pro hockey is a lot different than junior hockey.
Yeah. So like you're going up against like these pro guys, these high end shooters. Like, what do you do to help yourself stay calm and collective? Because like from experience, like when you get up against these guys, like you're sometimes shaky at first, and then you settle down. It's like what kept you cool, calm, and collective?
Uh, I mean, I don't think there's one sort of thing that did it. In the summer, I would skate with a lot of pro guys, and I was used to taking pro shots in the summer back home. But you just got to kind of sharpen your skills a little bit. If you're having a little bit of an off day, they're going to pick you apart pretty good. So just staying calm and reading shots and where the pucks, what signs they give you, whether it's their hands or their stick weight or the way their body's positioned, just so you could pick up little things quicker, so you could tell where they were shooting, and just being aware where everyone is on the ice, like trusting your reads, and then going back to just the confidence, right? You got to believe you're capable of playing at that level.
Yeah, exactly. And just the little details really do matter in like the game as you go higher up. Like the details are like you have to be precise with the details, and like that's all that like it depends on. It's just the little details that get you to be successful. So like, what little details did you have to work on during that time to help you be successful in the AHL?
Probably just like the little thing, like making sure if you're going into your post, make sure you hit it perfectly every time. Just so if you stumble a little bit, you're a little step behind on the next pass, or being aware where everyone is in zone, so you can kind of anticipate the play. If you know where a guy's going to pass it, you can have your reads a little cleaner. Just probably sight lines through traffic too, being able to find different windows so you can see the pucks through traffic, so you're not behind the play or chasing pucks. And then just picking up little signs. Like obviously you practice so much with pro guys playing pro hockey and practicing so much, just the little signs they give you where their stick blades position or their hands or their body is, just so you can pick up and anticipate where they're shooting.
Yeah, that's awesome. About the details, the little details that really do help your game a ton. So then going into the 2010-2011 season, you played games in both the AHL and the ECHL, where you played 24 games for the Wolves and then 12 for the Gwinnett Gladiators. Like, what was the biggest difference you noticed from going to the coast and then getting called up back to the AHL, and like that transition period that you had to face?
Yeah, that's AHL. I mean, it's a hard league to play in. You're one step away from the NHL. So at any given day, an injury happens up top, you could be the guy being called up. So the AHL is a very, very good hockey league, and there's a lot of talented players who just maybe haven't got their chance or still waiting to get their chance. And the East Coast is there's a lot of good hockey players in the East Coast, but it's not as balanced. I would say you got probably a handful, maybe two lines of really good hockey players, and you got some guys that probably shouldn't be in that league, but they didn't have enough guys because they had guys called up to the American League or something like that. So the East Coast is very scrambly. It's a tough league to play in because it's so unpredictable. You don't really if you look at East Coast rosters, there's so many guys that play for the team. So it's a lot of scrambly, chippy hockey. And back when I first started, there's a lot of fighting too. So it's kind of a little bit of a goon league, a lot of fighting. So, but the AHL, the American Hockey League, is very good hockey.
Yeah, and just that transition, like I've talked to other guys and like they've always said that like it's super hard because like you're going from like that scramble mode in the coast, and then you're going to the AHL, which is a little better than the ECHL and one level below the NHL. So it's definitely cool to see how like that transition, like, and like how you have to face it and get and just help yourself get better and help yourself succeed.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at my stats, when I was in the East Coast, my numbers were a lot worse than they were in the American League. It's a league where you're going to get, as a goalie, you're going to get a ton of chances, odd man rushes, breakaways. There's a lot of breakdowns, and the systems the guys don't follow the systems like they would in the American Hockey League. So you get a ton of chances against, which is good when you're young because you want to develop and see those scoring chances. But it's a tough league. You can get really complacent down there if you're getting scored on a lot. You can get a lot of bad habits. You just got to stick to what works for you and try and work your way up to the American Hockey League and try and stay there.
Yeah, before you were mentioning how obviously the AHL is one step below the NHL and how, you're right there for the ultimate journey. How hard was it for you to really like keep your calmness, keep your composure, and just stay on an even keel, and not trying to think ahead and realize, hey, I'm one step away, but realize keep doing what I'm doing, and then eventually I'll get my chance in the NHL rather than just trying and rushing it and maybe messing that opportunity up.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, that's part of being a pro hockey player and trying to make it to the NHL is a journey. But it is tough because you're always watching the NHL team, seeing who's doing well, who's struggling, or something's going on with injuries. And when is it going to be your time? And always what you're thinking. But if you think like that, then you're not going to produce the way you should on the ice. You're going to be playing with pressure. So you always are watching the NHL team, but it's in the back of your head. But you got to try and forget about it and just worry about what you can do in the American League to get better every day. So if you do, or when you get that opportunity to go up, you're ready for it.
Yeah, that's an awesome like mindset to have and everything. So going back to mindset a little bit, like when you do get in these scrambling modes, like what would your mindset be? Like you said you had worse numbers in the coast than you did in the AHL. So like what was your mindset like when you would get down on yourself and like help yourself not stay down on yourself, but keep working to keep getting better?
It's tough because obviously, like, I was in Chicago. It's a very good organization, and they treat us like an NHL team. Great practice facility, game rink, and everything like that. And then you get sent down to a place like Gwinnett. It's not a hockey city, so the locker room's not as nice. You're not treated as good. You're spending hours on a bus, on a sleeper bus, like eating after the game, we'd stop at like a gas station and grab like chips and stuff. So it's not. There's some teams in the East Coast League that treat it very good and they want to develop to get you to the American Hockey League, and then there's some teams that they have try to pay the bills for all the stuff to get guys better. So you just gotta hope that if you go down there, you do well, you work hard, keep your mindset that you're trying to get out of that league as fast as possible onto the next league so you can make it.
Yeah, exactly. And then so the following season, you spent the next few seasons with St. John's, and you got to call up to the Winnipeg Jets. Like, what were those two years like in getting called up to the Jets?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was I was watching the game when I think it was Montoya got hurt. Yeah, Al Montoya got hurt in one of the games, and then I figured since I was a starting goalie at the time in St. John's, I'd be getting the phone call, and it was exciting to go out to for the NHL. But at the same time, like, well, here's a chance that you've been waiting for, that you've been working hard every day to try and get. So it was a pretty cool experience going up to Winnipeg, and it was a lot of fun too in St. John's. We had a lot of success there as a team. Get that first after and say we're going to the NHL.
Yeah, so then you went back down to St. John's, and like you guys went on a great playoff run where you played 15 games and really helped the Ice Caps go on a big run. So like, how fun was that run in the Calder Cup playoffs and that experience that you got from playing playoff hockey?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, St. John's, they had a great fans there. They did a whiteout when we were on that playoff run, and we beat some good teams at the top. Ran into that Norfolk team. It was Tampa Bay's AHL team, and they were on I think they had like a 20-something game winning streak that year, and they just smoked us in that third round. But it was a lot of going to the conference finals. You get a lot of, probably the biggest thing, you just get extra confidence knowing that, hey, like, I'm here, I'm doing it. There's only 4 teams left. I'm only 22, and we've gone this far.
Yeah, that must have been a great experience for you, just getting that playoff experience and going on that playoff round that unfortunately ended in the third round. But it seemed like you got a lot out of that experience, and like you were able to compete and do really well in the Calder Cup playoffs that year.
Yeah, and the thing about the American Hockey League is, like, it was our first year in St. John's. They just moved the team. It got sold to Winnipeg, and they wanted to have a really good team in St. John's, so we signed a lot of older guys, and we're a really deep team. We're 4 lines, 6 defense, and we even had a lot of good players sitting out watching from the stands. But that's the thing about the American Hockey League that is tough. You can lose your best players any given day up to the NHL, so a lot of break, keep your team intact. And
for sure. So then going into the following season, or in 2014-2015, you ended up sitting out the entire year with a hip injury where you were recovering from surgery. So like, how hard was that process for you to sit out the entire hockey season while also trying to recover and get back in a game shape and start playing some games eventually after your surgery was completely healed?
yeah, that was tough. I didn't skate for 18 months. I missed a year and a half. And it was one of those moments where it's like, do I want to, like, I don't know if I'll ever come back and play, and like, do I have the mindset to come back? And it's tough when you get hurt that badly, and I mean, no one wants to. It's not fun. The mental side should be draining because it takes so long to heal and feel normal again that you never think you're going to feel 100% again. You don't know what's going to happen. So that was a tough year and a half, but I mean, it probably changed my career going through that. It just made you not take anything for granted.
Yeah. So like, what was your mindset like throughout the process? Like, like you said you had some bad days, but like, was it just like getting back to hopefully I can start playing again soon and hopefully be a better goaltender after this surgery than anything else?
Yeah, it was tough because I had 2 surgeries during that time. So the first one, I had a lot go wrong with it, and I remember I got traded from Winnipeg to Washington after the first surgery, And then I went into camp to do physicals on the first day, and I didn't pass any of them. And the doctor said we're gonna have to do more MRIs and take some more looks at your hip. And then he said the best thing we could do is do another surgery and hope it goes better this time, and that might give you a chance to play hockey again. So obviously, you have some challenges, but it kind of started in 8 months ready to go, and then I passed the physical tests on day one of training camp. So there's some bad times, but I think I overcame it, and I got to where I am now.
Yeah, you definitely overcame it, and you have had a successful career since then, and your career has been back at the top of its game. So then in 2016, 2017, you're a big part of the Grand Rapids Griffins, playing 29 games with a 2.43 goals against average, and you guys ultimately won the Calder Cup at the end of the season. It's like, what was it like being a part of the Griffins and winning the championship to cap off the year?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was our only Grand Rapids first year, but it was a great city. It's a college town. We got a lot of fans there, and that was also a tough year for me personally because I played 29 games or something like that, but we had the other goalie there, Jared Crow. He was playing all the games when he was down in the American League, and then he went up to Detroit, and that's where I really got a chance to play a lot of games. So it was one of those years where I'd sit on the bench for a long stretch of times, and I'd play a ton of games in a row. So it was a lot of fun too. Like obviously winning a Calder Cup, it's a tough thing to do. Like I said, with so many injuries in the NHL and guys going up and stuff like that, you lose your best players all the time. And we were lucky that Detroit didn't make playoffs, so we had all our guys come back down for the playoff run.
Yeah, and then you guys went on a tear and ended up winning the cup against, I believe it was Syracuse, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and that was a really good series. I remember tuning into that series, and it was a really good series, and you guys ended up winning, so that must have been an awesome feeling, and like the parade must have been awesome as well, I would imagine.
Yeah, we partied pretty hard, and they had a big parade for us downtown. It was cool. I mean, it takes so much to win a championship. There's so many. I don't want to just say luck, but there's a lot of luck that goes in with injuries and call-ups and stuff like that. But that was a fun year, and it was great to be part of a championship team.
Yeah, absolutely. So then going into the 2018, 2019 season, you got your shots in the big leagues in the NHL with the Tampa Bay Lightning, where you played in 3 games, going 2-1. It's like, what were your emotions like during your first NHL game and getting your first NHL win?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, the first game it was versus Detroit, so I knew a lot of the guys on that team, and I just got that brand new rink. I remember seeing them when I was with Grand Rapids at training camp. They were building that rink, and then I'm playing it a couple of years later. So it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was nice. It was in Detroit. It was close to home. I had my family come and watch the game, but it was nice to get the win shootout and then finally get an opportunity to play in the NHL.
Yeah. So what was it like the biggest thing you learned and you had to understand going into those NHL games to be successful and come out with some wins?
I think just the biggest thing is that, yeah, the players are a little bit better and it happens a little bit faster, but I think it's just the atmosphere. I mean, if you start thinking like, oh my God, I'm in the NHL, then it's going to eat you up. It's if you put all that pressure on you, it's going to collapse you and you're not going to perform. You just got to shut out all the noise. I mean, you go into the NHL, every rink's basically full, sold out, and they're putting on the show, so the music's louder. There's way more fans. There's way more cameras and everything like that. So if you can shut all that out and just play your game, then there's a reason why you're there. You just got to trust yourself that you should be there.
Yeah, exactly. And you once you stop thinking about it, like you'll be fine. But once you start thinking about it, like that's definitely gonna hurt you in the long run. Just thinking about like putting all the pressure on you and just all the pressure is gonna kill you. Like, of course you want to win, but the pressure is ultimately gonna kill you, and it's gonna be what drags you from getting those wins.
Yeah, exactly. I played in the American League for a lot of years. I played with a lot of good players, and a lot of those guys didn't make it to the NHL, and they should have. And whether they got the chance or they didn't, you just gotta block out everything, just kind of play your game. I mean, goalies a lot of it being a goalie is mental. So if you can just control the mental side, not let your mind wander or start thinking, what happened if he scores or all these fans here. If you just block that all out and not play nervous, just play loose, you'll be all right out there.
Yeah, for sure. You just can't think. You just gotta play and just trust the process. Trust what you're doing. Like you said earlier, just trust what you've been putting in is going to work out for you, and it most likely will, and it'll get you some wins and some success for sure.
Yeah, and I was lucky too being on Tampa Bay. I mean, they set a record for wins that year or tied the record. If I'm stopping Kucherov and Stamkos heading in practice every day, then why can't I stop the guys we're playing against, sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so then after the 2018-2019 season, you began your journey to the KHL playing for the Astana Bears, I believe that's how you say it, where you played in 46 games, going 24-18-1. So, like, what was that experience like over in the KHL your first year, and, like, what made you decide to go play overseas?
I think just obviously I got my NHL games before. I had a couple of offers from the KHL a year or two before, but I wanted to stick around North America and see if I could finally get some games in the NHL. And then I ended up signing with Greece and Kazakhstan, and it's a good place to play. They have no import rule, so there's a lot of North American and Swedish guys on the team, so there's a lot of English. There was a lot of fun playing there. It was a good first experience, KHL.
Yeah, so, like, going into the KHL, like, did you have any expectations going in, like, how the game was going to be played? Like, what was the transition like, and, like, the biggest differences that you noticed from going from the North American game to the KHL in Russia?
It's tough because last year, this year too, right? You're playing on 3 different ice surfaces. In Kazakhstan, we had NHL size, and then some teams have Finnish size and Olympic size. So every rink's a different size rink, and it's tough to adjust your angles there. And then it's tough when you can't really communicate with half the guys on your team because they don't speak English. So if you're going to play the puck, or you're talking on the ice, they don't understand you. You don't understand them. And then I was lucky though because I had a couple of buddies that played on Kazakhstan already, so I reached out to them and kind of got the rundown how it's going to be like. But yeah, it was a good first experience going to that team and kind of learning the KHL.
Yeah, so what do you do when, like, you have to adjust, like, your angles to, like, every rink that you play in? Like, do you do anything before the games, like during warm-ups, that help you stay in tune for whatever rink you're playing in, whether it be the NHL, the Finnish, the Olympic rink, whatever it is?
Nothing crazy. Normally, like, you don't really play back-to-back in the KHL, so you normally get into this city. You're playing the practice most of the time, depending on what time the game is. You'll have a morning skate, so you normally get 2 skates at the rink you're going to play at before you play the game, and then a warm-up before the game. It's just like little things. A lot of the rinks here, there's so much room behind the net, so playing puck, that space you got to cover behind the net. And then last year was the first rule they put the trapezoid in the KHL. So obviously for me that did make a big difference. But for some of the goalies you play against, you see them. I mean, our first game, the guy went right into the part of the trapezoid you're not allowed to touch the puck, and he had no idea what was going on. And then so it's just little things that are a little bit different, the ice surfaces and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. And then, so going into this season, you're playing for Lokomotiv Yaroslavl, where you're 10-1-2 right now. It seems like your journey in the KHL so far has been successful. It's like, what's helped you stay on top of your game and dominate in the KHL?
I don't really know. I mean, it's a lot tougher here than it was last year because we only have 5 imports. Because we're a Russian team, we're only allowed 5 guys, and 3 of them are Swedish guys, and the other guy's Finnish. So I'm the only North American team. So it's a little bit tougher this year. It's a lot less English in the locker room, and not too many of the Russian guys, the local guys, speak any English. So it was tougher to adjust to this team, I think, than it was to Kazakhstan. But playing in the different rinks and stuff like that, you kind of know what to expect, what city you go to, because I did it all last year. So that's a little bit easier. But I just feel that this team, Lokomotiv, they're a bigger team in the KHL, and they spend a little bit more money on the players, so they get a little bit upper echelon players and very well coaches to that extent. So how the team was going to play in front of you. So it's pretty similar to last year, just with different guys.
Yeah, for sure. So for what's it like being with Lokomotiv, since like everyone like obviously like heard of like what happened with the crash and everything like in 2011. It's like, what's it like being with a team that's had that history and just playing for them overall, and how good of a team they are?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a touchy subject, and I think it was the day before our home opener. We went to the gravesite of some of the guys that passed away in that plane crash, and then the base we live at here, they built it for. I'm not sure if it was the Russian government or the airlines or something like that donated money to build this base. So that all the imports and some of the Russian guys, and we got a practice rink here, nice facility with gym, spa, and everything like that. So obviously, I mean, I remember when I was in North America, we heard about that. It's just one of those things that I think it's good. You guys are on buses, how many times through snowstorms, airports, all the different teams traveling. That it's a tragedy, but responded really well here, and they take really good care of us. And obviously, they got a statue and thank him, and they do the best they can, and they built this organization back up pretty good.
Yeah, it's a very touchy subject, and like it's just cool to see like how they are like doing everything they can to like help like honor those guys that were on the plane when it crashed, and just overall like building the organization up. And I bet it'd be an honor to play for that organization, like especially how good they're treating their players and just the backstory. Like it's like you wish that never happens, but I feel like with that, like it's a different story about coming to play for Lokomotiv and just being a part of that team, helping them succeed and be part of that build-up.
No secret what happened. Everyone knows, and I heard from him. It's an honor to go out and play for them and kind of be part of rewriting history. I mean, you lost everything and everyone on that plane, and now you get new guys come in and try and build back everything that they lost. And the best thing we can do is just win hockey games to remember those guys and build the city back up.
Yeah, exactly. So you've been seeing the puck really well this season, with 4 of your 10 wins so far being shutouts. What do you do to like train your eyes to make sure you're on top of your game and you see the puck well game in and game out?
Nothing crazy. I mean, one summer I did all that kind of the neural stuff where you do the tracking with all the dots and all that stuff, but it wasn't for me. I don't know if it really works. I think it's one of those things that if you believe it works, it helps. And I didn't think it worked, so I stopped doing it. But I think it's just repetitions in practice. I mean, we're working hard in practice, gaining your confidence in practice, and then you see so many pucks in practice here, especially in Russia. We practice. We don't get many days off. It's a lot of work, and I think it's just that. Like you practice hard and you gain your confidence there, and you take it into your game.
Yeah, and then just by getting so many shots and practicing so often, you must just feel the puck really well, and it just comes natural, and you just see the puck really well, game in, game out, and you're successful with it, and get the amount of shutouts you've had with 4 of the 10 being shutouts. So that's awesome that you've been seeing a lot of success and seeing the puck really well during your time this season in the KHL.
Yeah, and we have our group right now. I mean, at the beginning of the season, we had COVID, and we're out a couple of guys, probably 3 or 4 games we're out, and then I was out with injury too, so it's kind of like we all came back at the same time. So it's kind of like that jolt of energy back in the locker room. Everyone's ready to go, and we finally got a full team ready to play. And it was good for me because I missed the first month of the season, and it was tough first month for us because we had a new coach. It's a lot of new systems, a lot of new learning stuff for guys. And then we got struck with COVID, and guys were out for the last 2 weeks of September. So we all came back at the beginning of October, and I think our team has a lot of confidence, and we're playing really well right now.
You guys are all healthy now, and you guys are all ready to go and start winning some more games and start pushing for a playoff run at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think that's what it's all about here. We're on a team that a very high-end team in the KHL. So the biggest thing is make it to playoffs and do some damage in playoffs. So that's the goal this year.
Yeah, exactly. So, Eddie, I have a few more questions for you before we get this thing done with. It's like, what are some tips you would give goalies looking to get to that next level?
Probably just work hard. I mean, every day, every time you get a chance to go on the ice. I mean, early in my career, for granted, I thought I was just, I wasn't a high pick to the NHL, but I thought I had a lot of success in the juniors. I thought I was just going to roll through the American League and walk into the NHL. And it doesn't work like that. You got to work hard every day, every time you're on the ice. I mean, some days it sucks. You just traveled all night. You get in at 3, 4 in the morning. You're tired. You don't want to practice, but it's another opportunity to get better and push yourself to get to the next level. So when you do get to the next level, you're ready for it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great tip, and just to keep pushing yourself, keep working hard, and just focusing on yourself and your development, not going too fast, and just having it work out in the long run, because it's success doesn't happen overnight. So you just got to keep pushing, keep working, and keep grinding throughout the process, because the process is a journey, but it's a super fun journey.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be days that suck, and then there's going to be days that it's easier to get up out of bed and go to the rink. But when you finally do get the chance, you get whatever. If you're a AA goalie trying to play AAA, or a AAA goalie trying to play OHL or AHL, NHL, those little steps it's rewarding when you put in all the work and sacrifice to get there, and then you're setting yourself up for an opportunity to stay there or to get to the next level.
Yeah, exactly. So then my final question of the day is, you've been involved in 2 goalie fights in your pro career so far, one with Dustin Tokarski and the other with JF Berube. It's like, what was getting in those fights like, and like what started them?
The one with Berube wasn't much of a fight. It was kind of, they were smoking us like 5-1 or something, and he sticked one of our guys, and a little bit of a fight in front of the net, and I skated down, and it was I was just pissed that I was getting lit up that game. I wasn't doing very well, man. The one with Tokarski, there's a couple fights on the ice, and then he kind of shook at me, and I didn't even think about him. Like, if he wants to fight, let's go. And it was funny because we ended up being teammates a couple years later, and we laughed about it.
Yeah, it's like, when you guys first got there, like, were you guys just joking around, just living back the memories of you guys fighting?
But like with Tokarski, I mean, with St. John's, he was Syracuse for a long time. We played against each other so many times, and they beat us in that playoffs in the conference finals that one year with St. John's. So I played against him a lot. We always battled hard versus each other. It was one of those things that we kind of mutual respect. We played against each other so many times, and we just kind of looked at each other and laughed. And like, we never really talked about it, but it was one of those things that we both knew, like, we were idiots that fought at center ice at the War Memorial. Now we're teammates.
Yeah, those stories are always the best, though. So would you ever fight again if you got the chance, or 2 fights is enough for you?
I don't know. I mean, I've been shook by other guys in games. I think it was Demko one year in Utica. He shook me and wanted to fight. And I think we're up 1-0. I'm like, dude, I got a shutout goal. I'm like, I'm not gonna fight and blow that. But a couple times here in Russia, there's not much fighting. There's a couple scrums where a goalie will kind of take a shot at someone like that, and I'll come out to the hash marks of the blue line, and then I just think to myself, like, what am I doing? We're in Russia. There's not fighting over here, but it's kind of instinct, right? Like, your head's in the game, and you see a goalie hit one of your players, you it's kind of like your job to go down and do something. But I don't think I'll get it anymore.
Yeah, it's fun getting in those fights. You know, I've shook some guys, but they didn't want to go. So, and this recent game that we played, there's a line brawl going on. I was unfortunately on the bench, so I wasn't able to get into it because we were pulled for the extra attacker, so that sucked. But had our best line out there, and they just started a line brawl. So I wish I was the sixth guy out there. So hoping that next time that happens, I get to go down there and throw some hands.
It's hard though. I mean, it's hard fighting with all the goalie equipment on, but at least if you're fighting the other goalie, you both are kind of tied up in your own equipment.
Yeah, exactly. And it just to get one out of the way, that's all I need. So Tyler, do you have any more questions for Eddie before we let him go?
Yeah, I got two more for you. I know you kind of touched base on this earlier, but just you could tell me again. What was it like being on that Tampa Bay Lightning team in 2018, 2019? Even though it was for a couple of games, what was it like being on that team? Which I remember, like, just following that season, I was like, they're unstoppable. Like, this is unbelievable. What was it like being on that team that won like 60 games?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, most goalies, when you give up 5 goals in your first game, you're not going to win. But we had so much firepower on that team, so many guys that could score, and like the defense core was insane. But it was fun. I mean, I didn't know going into the last game of the season we played Boston, I didn't know if we won that, we'd tie the record for most wins in an NHL season, which was pretty cool to be part of history. But it was one of those teams, they don't come around very often, especially with the salary cap and stuff like that. I mean, that was a hell of a team. You probably won't see too many teams that good for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then this is a bit of a long one, but my other question is, obviously as a goalie, you've seen a bunch of different shooters, amazing shooters. So if you're a goalie in a shootout, who is one opponent that you would absolutely love to go head to toe with in a shootout, and who is another player that you would absolutely hate to go head to toe with in a shootout?
Probably like a D-man or something like that would be fun to go against in the shootout. I mean, we had one the other day versus Spartak, and they had this one D-man. I guess he doesn't think I watch video or anything, but I played against him enough times that he loves to shoot it from his own net from his own end on net, because he thinks he has like the hardest slap shot ever. So he comes down on the shootout and he winds up for a slap shot and buries it right in my blocker. But yeah, probably like a defensive defenseman that's just kind of buried in your pad, just trying to hit the net, not trying to score. And then the guys that I wouldn't want to go against, I used to skate a lot with McDavid and Michael Camilleri when he played. And those two guys probably scored like every time on me. I mean, obviously McDavid scores almost on every goalie, so you don't want to go against him. And then Camilleri had one of those, like, the weirdest shot I've ever seen. You couldn't tell if he was going to shoot it 100 miles an hour or you're going to throw like an off-speed changeup on you. Both releases look the exact same, so he used to burn me all summer.
That's awesome. Like, it's the shootouts and breakaway are definitely hard to tell, especially if it's not a defenseman. Like, a defenseman will just bury it into your pad, but like a sniper, like imagine going against Patrick Kane. Like, that would be insane. Just he'd light me up 10 times out of 10 times for sure.
Yeah, especially here too. Like, I find the hardest thing, depending what ice surface you're on, right? I'm used to NHL side, and your angles and your retreat on a breakaway or shootout are different than if you're on Olympic ice time. I remember my first shootout, like half my body's in the net behind me because the ice was so big. My marking to retreat and all that were off. So it's a lot tougher over here.
Yeah, for sure. And this was a great episode, Eddie. So thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate your time and want to wish you nothing but the best of luck going forward. And with the rest of the season. Hopefully you guys win the championship. And this has been a lot of fun. We really appreciate you coming on, Eddie.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.